I just have an expression that I enjoy, and I think it kind of reframes everything. It's that there's not a speck of dust out of place in the entire universe. So the way that things have played out between Trump and Putin and the entire, television broadcast and information and all that. I mean, I just like that saying that there's not a speck of dust out of place in the whole universe. And I think peace and greater stability is right around the corner.
One of the things in this whole thing that I don't think anyone's really discussed, and I'm not sure the level or implications that came from it, but there was a lot of talk about NGOs that was getting American USAID money, permitting I think the biggest leverage right now, Hanson, in my mind, would be where who has been able to keep capital flowing through India and China with the sale of the natural gas and the oil to fund this whole operation and keep the economy from just going totally in the tank. I think right there is probably the biggest lever they have.
Private conversation with my friend Tiger
sides told in the thread and the possibility was and that predisposes that Putin holds fast, where he's not going to get what he's asking for. The war will continue if he pushes for that. But he backs off enough that peace is possible with significant land, at least de facto, given up by Ukraine. Not for sure, but de facto. I hope everybody understands what I mean by that. And maybe we'll see peace.
It blows my mind that people will come on this app though, and if you tell them that a peace treaty is a possibility, it's like a gaslight to me. And that I cannot understand why people would allow themselves to get gaslit by hearing that a peace treaty is possible.
Well, that's because most of the people come on this app with preconceived, very strong, highly partisan, vicious opinions, never to be swayed from the same. So, everybody gets gaslit from one side or the other. And the ability to find compromise, even on Clubhouse, is damn near impossible. But and it's like everybody's leaving, so I'm not going to keep the room open. You and I can talk. I love string theory, quantum theory, relativity. I did the layman's level. I love everything that stuff. So yes, I'm respecting those universe. Yes, it's a specific place in the universe at any given moment. But I'd also point out in Heisenberg and certainly for Princeton, we're not sure at all exactly where they are. But everything has its place in the universe is determined regardless of what evidence is.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you look at what the Irish Times is putting out, or what New York Times put out, they say that Trump is Krasnov, and he's an early Soviet espionage victim, and that all of this is Putin blackmail. To me, it's insane, but I think the war machine will put out counter narratives to try to prolong the war, create suspicion, cause more chaos, and I know most Americans want peace, but there's always that element of a wild card or a freak radical that refuses peace. And the videos coming out of Kiev with all of the drone bombings, it's unbelievable. And I'd like to think they're going to have a peace deal. But part of me thinks that the status quo is a 99.9% chance. So it is literally a 0.1% chance that a peace deal or peace in our times is possible. Because it does seem like war is the status quo. Especially, I don't know, it just seems like the status quo.
I think you're generalizing war. War is the way the world has worked ever since humans first walked the earth. They come and they go, but war has always been a means to settle disputes. Like, we're trying to figure out ways other than that to do it. But that's getting into deep philosophy.
to a 20-minute room than an hour long or 2 hour long one. So thank you for hosting today, and I look forward to your meeting tomorrow.
Okay, great. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and close the room, guys, and, you guys, take care, and, I'll probably open it back up tomorrow and see what takes place. It's not that they want their tits at football matches. I think that the women want to just like have their hair out. My question is for Scotty. Scotty, do you wear a hijab?
No, but look, Ewan, while that's a normal sentiment from Iranian women at the end of the day, no one's.
I love America. Do you wear it? I know that's a weird question to ask.
Stupid. And if you're gonna troll, at least be funny, man.
You're not
funny, bro. You're not funny.
Oh no, okay.
It's already, or you're waiting on that?
I'm waiting on it. I think they're thirsty this year. They keep calling me.
Did you go
Asking
last
if
year?
I want to buy a package. I've been both years. Be an online friend to be concerned.
Look at who's in the audience. So this is a perfect example of what I'm talking about. Stop talking about it.
Thank you.
He's raised his hand to speak. You have exactly 60 seconds to say what you have to say. It better not be rude or out of line, or you will be dropped. So go ahead. 60 seconds.
Sure, I'd like to take this 60 seconds by reading a little poem from the Tao Te Ching.
No.
We are showing.
What's up, Josh? Well,
What's up?
What up, gentlemen?
busy, man, so I haven't been speaking for the last like hour. I've been super busy doing stuff. But
He said something. I didn't understand what he said. I'm so curious to know. I don't know if you heard, but
no, I didn't hear anything, man. Been too busy, like I said. What do you think he said?
I don't know. Because I was like, this reality is absurd. The world needs to help Israel. Because this is an abusive existence.
Obamacare in Massachusetts was the same thing as Obamacare. It was the same fucking thing.
Lala, do you get a lot of value out of trolling?
John Hancock and predict.
Yes, I do more work.
Like
You know my name, right? Baby girl, Scarlet. waterbenders. Are we going to ask like a gentle creature, you will be treated like a gentle creature, and it's like no problem. I'd like to have a conversation, but I don't know if Corinne has the ability. How would you name it?
Um,
You're from Beijing.
I just wanted to say that our next replay should definitely be philosophy. I'm casting my vote now.
John, we should also talk about football. Yes.
What do I to be focused to do like you said?
I think a lot of the international commitments. And the second thing is, it's clear to me that other than the theater in Israel, Trump is actually reducing the global footprint.
Let me see. I have to look at the results. What if I don't like any of the above? I mean, comment option. Yeah. I'll have to think about that one.
Since being more willing to engage directly in Israeli
It's
theater is not sparing that by others, right? The second possibility, which is the only other one left, is that they have made a tacit agreement with the Russians that linguistically they can offer a guarantee, which Putin is willing to say that I will not violate in the short term. And having that assurance, Trump is relaying that message to the European countries and maybe making a gesture of so-called security guarantee. And I think that's more credible because actually, if you're looking at the unilateral actions by the Russians, it's not clear to me they even have the appetite to actually further engage Ukraine and taking over not even the eastern
I was just gonna say the same thing. Hey, I'm
It's
Normo.
not clear to me that they're so interested in advancing to the Kharkiv and Sumy region, even if
Pretty
it was
good. How are you?
or the right bank of Soccer. Right? They could try to do all of their steps, even though they have some impurities. They have not engaged in full-scale invasion of the structures. So what's likely is that there is a raw agreements to Russia is to keep a lot of the territories with the possibility that the security guarantee even would involve Russian troops, which is another way of saying they are trying to guarantee the neutrality of Ukraine as a condition of the halting of hostility from the Russian side. So that might be what's happening, though it's unclear to me that I think Zelensky got what he wants in terms of the dignity of having made some concessions from Trump so that he's more gracefully accepting a ceasefire, even at a loss strategically. So that's a possibility. But I think another very important thing to ask is, do Europeans actually know what they're doing? Right? Do they want to position themselves in a moral position and continue to support the Ukrainians to maintain their sovereignty and territorial integrity, which, as I said, I don't think they have a very good moral standing, or they're just, without a sense of
They don't have a very good moral standing, Tiger. I don't understand that. I'm sure you recognize.
I'm just
Is that they're concerned, as I'm sure you see, particularly in the sense of precedent of American communities, allow as a world community Russia to invade Ukraine and potentially set the precedent that we're going to allow Russia to enter their sovereignty. And let me finish answering the question. So how can you suggest that they don't really have a moral standing on all of this? It's not because they're the same standing that applied to them as does now apply to Ukraine from their
not in the West, right? But most of the South countries have governments, right? And that's not going to change.
For example, so folks understand what you're talking about, right?
Well, for example, there are big countries in the Western African continent, right? Their involvement in Israel, actually, they're shipping of arms to enable the Israelis. Well, what I think is like or not, right? Because the global South point is not. In China, for example,
I'm thinking, what? Huh? What? And then you wrote out exactly what I was thinking.
I just, like I said, sometimes it takes more energy not to be
unapologetically fiery.
It really does. I think sarcasm is an appropriate way to respond to you, and it's not wasted. Now, Scotty asked a question about, or brought up the fact that there are many people who are pro-Russia, and he wondered about that. And you kind of, we did talk about it a little bit, just hinted at it. I think everybody has to look at it in a bigger picture. These are MAGA people. Trump was always pro-Russia. His introduction to them, their introduction, their meeting him in 2016 was that he was pro-Russia. He's always been. And these are some of the MAGA people are people who he appealed to had nothing to do with politics. He appealed to Mexico and for the wall, different things. And then they all of a sudden now attach themselves to whatever he says and whatever he believes. And there's no way for anybody to perceive, in my opinion, Trump as ever being anything but pro-Russia. So I have an issue with that. Regarding all the people that came with him today, this is people, Zelensky, armed himself with people who know what they're talking about. These aren't people that are real estate investors that we're talking to Putin. These are people that know their stuff, they know what they're talking about, and they know that they're going to have to make it. They also are smart enough to know whether we can trust Trump. So Trump, what he did with Putin the other day, that is not. If anybody thinks that giving him that hero's moment when he is a war criminal, that's not.
Do you think that
Putin laughing
number one,
at him.
Ukraine would
That's just a
agree,
laugh.
and
It really is.
number two,
I don't
Russia
think
would
that's
agree?
war.
I think it's honestly a terrible idea for Russia to keep everything that they've captured thus far.
And I
If
thought
they've got all those natural
to top it off,
resources.
he
Even
was a
the land that he
public
took during
investigative
Obama's presidency.
but he also putting he had his own vehicles there. Putin did. Why in the world would Trump put him in the beast? I just everything about what Trump did showed me he's I should disagree. When it comes to negotiations, and what he's talking about, it was already preconceived. It was already a done deal. It was going to give Putin pretty much what Putin wanted. And he just didn't engage the response that he was going to get from the world. He did not, even Fox, I think, he didn't support how he heroes welcome to Putin. And I don't think that Trump really prepared himself for the fact that now we're going to have some real talks. And he doesn't know what he's talking about. And Rubio saying, well, you know, we agree on security this and security that. What people say in Rubio and what is actually memorialized in writing is that there's a big difference. And we have to see what is actually memorialized in writing. What is the agreement? Not what does somebody say on the Sunday show. Is the agreement. What is the agreement that is memorialized? I cannot stress that enough. That is a legal binding agreement. Now, do we ever trust Trump to do something like what he said he's going to do? I'm not sure on this one. I want to see this one, how this one lays out. I also think that Putin will wait 3 years and take a chance on who's going to be the president in 3 years. So I just, this whole thing, I'm holding my breath. I think it is so horrible. But I'm glad that Zelensky came. I think they didn't care about the suit. He made a real good point when he said, I promised everybody I would wear a suit until the war was over, till my people weren't fighting a war. I have no problem. So he wore a suit, but he brought people with him. People who knew they needed to go because they knew, they saw the direction Trump was going. And they want to make sure that Trump understands there are people in this world who know what they're talking about, and Trump doesn't. morally correct. I'm sorry. Thank you.
But that, I was thinking,
Well,
I
I
was thinking, I think that's, without talking overwhelming I was thinking when the president said, I resolved this war, and just everybody's thinking, okay, this is just.
Correct. I don't know. I think not only economically for Ukraine, but giving Russia control of the Black Sea, giving Russia control of all of its resources, they're going to control a lot of the energy for all of Europe, and I just don't know that that's a good idea either.
National Guard troops in Washington, and how in 2 days crime has ended in Washington because of him. He speaks with a degree of seriousness, and I don't know whether that's an act or whether he really believes this. It's interesting to try to analyze that. But can you imagine if the previous president of the United States sat in the Oval Office with world leaders and declared, I resolved 6 wars? Well, people were going crazy that, once again, Joe Biden, he's losing more marbles. It's just unbelievable that this guy can say it, and nobody said he's losing his marbles. Maybe he isn't. And maybe Biden did, or maybe Biden didn't lose some of his marbles along the way. I don't know. But the way, TJ, you're having real trouble restraining yourself. I don't understand why, but you have to wait until we get to you. And if you keep interrupting, we'll remove you from the stage. These are the rules. So I just find that really interesting. How we treat our respect or our response, I think, to this president when he makes these phone calls. Remember, he said on 3 different occasions, presumably, he's going to Russia to meet with Putin when it was Alaska. And we all say, well, he just misspoke or something, which we all do. But Biden never would have said that. Thank you, Mel. Everyone else.
Even though they lost this war, they can win the peace.
Hi, Gary. Hi, Marshall. Want to know Tamariel? Gary, how are you today? I am good, but I'm getting better.
How do you hold?
Thank you very much. Is a person now Putin? I think that the more pressure is on President Zelensky as a patriot, giving up land for Russia just for peace. I think that Putin will finally accept the sedition of President Trump. But something here very shocks me that why President Trump clapped in Alaska for Putin. I think that when you are presenting land to Russia, there's no need to clap for Putin. There's no need to clap for Putin as a dictator. You know, Putin, the tenor of President Biden attacked Ukraine because the authority of President Biden neglected the danger of President Putin. And now, I think that we or the Western authority gain advantage of the Hey, dude,
So, at this timestamp, whatever it is,
Yes.
when we end this room,
Must gain more advantages
it was short and sweet, about a 30-minute
from
room.
President
Covered the
Putin.
highlights and our
When
hopes
you are
for a positive
presenting
outcome.
one-fifth
Um,
check
you
with
were
you.
kind of annoyed and irritated too
Ukraine to
by
Russia.
the lack of information coming out of the 4.5 hour meeting. Are you more hopeful today or the same amount
Sorry
of
that I
irritated
cannot
and annoyed
speak
or what?
fluently and accurately. Because you're doing very well. You're doing very well. Don't worry about it. Because despite I'm the only one Iranian which fulfilled two times 100% English language test in university in the entrance exam, but in the period of jail, I must be exerted head electroshock.
Oh, so we have a choice because I really don't want to turn off the replays. I'd rather end the room and create a non-recording room for social, or we continue on like this. But, Sandy, what would you like to do?
And if it
We
helps
can,
you to
turn off the replays and
regain
start a social
your
if you want.
skills,
Well, I was gonna say start a new room.
you're more
Yeah,
than
so yeah,
welcome to
keep the
come
replay.
up to the stage.
Yeah, keep the
And
replay
express
and
yourself
start a new, that's what I
anytime. We
meant.
all understand your
I just saw
situation.
here too
We
that,
all
did
were
you
able
see
to
that,
understand you. So don't worry.
Zelensky dismissed the plans
To
for
your point
between
about the
Trump and Putin?
applause and the
Warning
red
that-
carpet, I'll just point out that when the head of NATO, the heads of 3 European nations, in addition to the head of Ukraine, also a European nation, came to the White House.
I heard it complained about it
Photo op
before.
with the red carpet outside
It just popped up.
the White House, and the President of the United States walking out and applauding Mr. Zelensky as he walked up the red carpet. So it's not just by happenstance that we saw what we saw in Alaska, and that's why I reject the previous observation, which others may agree with or not agree with me, and that's fine, that that's meaningless. I don't think it's meaningless at all. It sends a message to the world, and the world is watching.
I would like your feedback on the Ann Coulter interview with trigonometry. I don't think Norm was there in his,
a history with the Russian Empire after World War II with Stalin and the USSR.
You know what? Ramaronas though, the owners, like any other pointers, the owners are very corrupt. Like they very.
Europe understands that, but at the same time, they were kind of lazy as hell, right?
and
You know, after World War II,
they talked about her.
the U.S. was providing all the security for Ella, and so Mr. Trump rightly, you know, has asked them to have NATO,
If they don't, are xenophobic,
European
if
part of
they
NATO
prefer
do
to
it,
have
part of
someone from America who's been here for a couple of generations, serve as leader of our country, there's cultural concerns that she said that I don't feel embarrassed saying that I have cultural concerns. And so they pushed her hard, and they should have. Because, you know, it is an ugly thing to say. And I think she held up well under the scrutiny, and I was glad that they pushed her.
you know, within living network do. And they have participated in Ukrainian
Exactly right. Nice. I mean, glad that you had a not boring life campus. I think you were probably well matched. Oh no. Hey Nav, how are you? Less than highly favored.
They want to get the back.
she's gay. Just robbing my wallet now, so it's all good.
Yeah, that's what they do. That's what they do.
She's like, now she's still got halfway in that toy phase. So she goes, she's getting the toy. She goes, what? I'm gonna be buying from Sephora later. So you'll replace the toys with the stuff from Sephora? I was like, great. And she has all this money that my father gives her whenever he sees her. And I'm like, all right, why don't you pay? And then she starts crying, like, why should I pay? Why should I'm like, wait a minute, you've got like $6,000-7,000 saved up. She goes, I'm saving for something big. I'm like, but I'm spending all this money and I spent 100, 200 something. She said, no. I'm saving for something. Because do we have the same job before? Yeah, it's fast. Yeah, same thing. She's gonna say, yeah, next year. So she's like, oh, I get the backpack. Your backpack's totally fine. Yeah, I need to find out the travel. Yeah, right. And she needs to get she's like 6 Stanleys. I'm like, what the hell? Stanley's a glorified coffee mug. It's like a coffee mug that says regular bottle. And it's like, what the hell? Like, why are people so excited that she's like, they're buying 6 Stanleys and what they want to have a wall. It's like, what the hell's a wall? And she's like, oh, it's another bottle. It's an H for water. The bottle's good no matter what bottle you use. That's ridiculous. So, that's about my fish about what she just said. That's a big trap. And I had to refresh my now I understand why people went for these payments and become someone else's problem. All the terrorists, the reason he killed Kennedy was because Kennedy supported. Oh my God, serendipity is pushing for molestation. I mean, can you believe it? And in the chat, just leave it all false. And with that, we are now at 5:57. Excuse me, Cash, if you're listening, serendipity, content girl, top of the hour. Which is now, I guess, going to extra time so that everyone on the stage gets an opportunity to say, we now move along to Frank. All right. Good night, everybody. It's midnight when you're still Germany. Kitover is West coast.
Naveen, I'm wondering if I can convince you to donate to the campaign to elect John Kitover. I've partnered with Ann today. We're going to unite her walkaway movement with the campaign to elect John. Naveen, are you interested in making a donation to the campaign today?
John, what are you running for?
The 16th district in Illinois for Congress against Darren LaHood, a rhino vaccinologist super debt creator.
Wait, I heard that Adams is going for LaHood.
Correct. Dr. Adams is a treacherous femboy on this app, and he has joined with the LaHood campaign to fight me. But we're going to defeat both of those dragons.
Who's the Republican?
Darren LaHood. And I'm running as a Republican against Darren in the primary. We need your petition signature financial support now. Primary guy John. That's the right name.
Interesting, yeah. So is it just be direct with me, is it a red, like, by supporting you, or supporting any Republican, is it a district that can be won, or is it like something that's always been blue, but we're hoping to flip it?
No, it's always been red, but it could be flipped by a Democrat. You never really know. But this guy, Darren, has $12 million in the bank. We've got $520 from Clubhouse.
You can do it.
Well, we need your shekels. You get a lot of federal Navy contracts. We need you to help pass around a couple clown house shekels. Help the campaign. We're fighting Darren LaHood and Dragon. And if Dr. Adams is supporting him, I think it's a good bet to bet on John, not Dr. Adams. Thank you.
Monica. Are we interested in starting a war?
Russia from taking territory from Ukraine.
No, of course not.
I think the latter.
No, she stepped away from her phone.
Yeah, I know that's an academic question.
This is so weird.
Considering.
Like, you don't want this revolution. Everybody's gonna be having a grand time, talking, you know? Sharon, about do you dare to go where in the mall?
Well, we put them, we, the world community, including the United States, put them in that position because we convinced them to give up their nuclear arsenal in exchange for a guarantee that they would not be invaded. And then they were invaded once, and now they're invaded a second time, and the people say, well, Japan is a fait accompli, and we should be giving him arms to protect himself against himself.
Really?
This is kind of like
I don't know who you're talking about.
Alice in the looking glass, right? It's like, by what measure does this make any sense?
The guy that reports on the news.
And now we go to the gentleman, all his I don't like on this page. Now he's using the nickname Congressman in the anticipation of his tremendous victory and becoming a congressman representing the great state of Illinois. John, it's all yours.
Hey Gary, thanks for having me up. That's correct. I'm running in the 16th District of Illinois versus Darren LaHood, a rhinologist, vaccinologist, super debt creator. And I put some queries into Grok that I'd like to share with you to help summarize the past 72 hours of Donald Trump, Vladimir Putin, and Zelensky, as well as what type of weapon systems and soldiers might be deployed to Ukraine in the event that a security guarantee is made. So this is the past 72 hours. Trump met with Putin on 8/16, urged no ceasefire needed, pushed Zelensky on 8/18 in a White House meeting with the EU to cede Crimea, drop NATO, accept land swaps for peace, offer U.S. security guarantees, plans trilateral talks. Zelensky seeks guarantees, rejects concessions. The next 30 days. Trilateral meeting by early September. Possible prisoner release and ceasefire. Full deal elusive due to territorial disputes, but U.S. pressure may yield Ukrainian compromises. This is the next query. Hey Grok, if the U.S. gives Ukraine security guarantees and deploys U.S. soldiers to Ukraine, what are the top 10 most likely weapon systems and U.S. military units to deploy to Kiev and other areas of Ukraine? In a hypothetical U.S. deployment to Ukraine for security guarantees, focusing on defense in Kiev and key regions, the top 10 most likely weapon systems and units based on expert analysis like RAND reports would be Patriot air defense systems, HIMARS rocket artillery, F-35 stealth fighters, Abrams tanks, Apache attack helicopters, the 82nd Airborne Division, the 101st Airborne Division, the 10th Mountain Division, Special Forces groups, and air defense artillery brigades. So as a candidate congressman running in Illinois who believes we should cut the National Defense Authorization Act and our national military industrial complex by $200 billion a year, I am against the U.S. sending any soldiers or military equipment and any additional funding to Ukraine, and I hope that these trilateral talks over the next 30 days can bring peace. Thanks, Gary. I hope that was complete.
Thank you, John. That was probably an accurate assessment by Grok, but I just want to point out that today, less than 11, I asked Grok, did Sirhan assassinate Robert F. Kennedy because of his support for Israel? And Grok's response was, Robert F. Kennedy was not assassinated. So, in this case, I guess Grok may have been spot on, but folks, be very careful about simply relying on AI to get our responses. AI is a good starting point, but they don't always show the resources. You know, there's no footnote, no link to the resources. And when there is, you should click on those and then make your own assessments on whether you accept the veracity of the resources to which they are referring the AI programs before quoting it. And if they don't show the reference, ask a follow-up question. What's your reference for your response?
listening carefully to what John was saying, I think it was pretty accurate. David, TJM, Daniel, and Howard will get the last word.
Here, I'm not sure if it matters either, but Sirhan was also an Orthodox Christian Palestinian.
Yeah, he was a Christian Palestinian, yeah.
So, that'll be all I did. Yeah, I think the first song with Putin in Alaska, Gary, clearly highlighted the driver's seat that Putin finds himself in. And, you know, the more time that he's bought from Trump with regard to the fact that they didn't even really arrive at anything. It was an ops campaign by Putin. We let Putin back into the sunlight of Western nations, validating his position as the premier leader of Russia, everything he's done in Ukraine. So we should have given him that win. And his Russian media has lapped this up, and far from painting him as the pariah, he's seen more as a national hero now than ever, if the media is to be believed over there. So he's got the wind in his sails. Zelensky's on the ropes. You know, if this was a prize fight, we'd have to come up with something quick for Zelensky. Putin's always, Gary, as we know, even he championed this manifesto that he wrote in the run-up to his invasion of Ukraine, where he basically sees Ukraine as a Russian asset, part of the Russian Empire, going back centuries. He sees Ukraine as well as the other Baltic nations, I think, as well, that fall under the NATO umbrella. So the fact that he's buying time, he's really seeing, I think he has his sights on the whole country, not just these border disputes or these areas that he wants in the negotiations. So I think we look at his writings and his intent, he's not going to stop until he gobbles up every last piece of that country. And I think he wants to get Zelensky out of the way. I think the longer Zelensky languishes with this war unresolved, his popularity may dwindle where he may be replaced. Who knows? Which would be bad for the country, because I think he's fought valiantly given the resources that we've provided and the heroic effort that his country has waged against creation. But the other thing I want to bring up, Gary, and I've heard it argued that if Trump isn't further sanctioning Putin in a way that would cause real pain to his country, and clearly this has not been a free ride for Putin at all, irrespective of the military economy that his country's enjoyed. There's a loss of manpower, the million plus victims of this war, plus the injuries. But it's argued that Trump's finance crypto company, led by Steve Witkoff's son Zach Witkoff and his son Eric, World Liberty Finance, is being used as a shell to receive compensation from dictators, world leaders, and the like. And some have argued that Trump is being bought off via crypto, where he's able to leverage the influence of the White House. And it's very difficult to prove because we can't trace the money. We can't trace the transactions. And so it's very difficult to see who's buying influence and at what level with Trump and at what cost. We know that his fortunes have been enriched to the tune of about $2.4 billion with this crypto scheme that has been set up. And so is he being bought? Is he being bought by Putin, and at what level? What else explains the level of cajoling and fun in creating this meetup with Putin as some sort of reunion of sorts between two great powers, fully ignoring the press, the cacophony of press questions that were being leveled at him and Putin regarding when is the killing going to stop? And of course, they might have thrown in there, when are you going to return the orphans, the lost, the children, as you alluded to in your opening salvo. So, anyway, Putin's got a lot going for him with this war so far. Trump is not helping the Ukrainian cause. I think giving this summit with the European leaders and Zelensky, while it looks more serious than the first go around, where he was basically embarrassed in the White House by Vance and Trump with the questions that they threw at him. We'll see. I think if anything, the glove's got to come off economically with the sanctions, and we'll see where that goes. I'll land there.
Thank you, David. We'll next go to TJN, and I'll preface it by thanking you for your patience and adherence to the rules. You're up, TJN.
Thank you very much, Gary. Thank you for giving me the floor. Well, where do we start? Okay, we start with the visit at Anchorage. Well, I find it quite ironic that Trump invited Putin in the former Russian territory, which was hilarious. And it was quite badass from the United States to give Putin the awesome show of force of the United States Air Force. That was cool. It's quite customary to welcome world leaders like that. I think it's something which Trump copied from the Saudi Arabians. They've been welcoming Putin and leaders from the United States exclusively in such a manner. And yeah, well, the military parade the United States tried to do wasn't the best, to be honest. But in terms of trying to get its prestige back, in that regard, the air show of the P-2 bombers and the F-35s, I give 5 out of 5. Well done. In terms of the whole, there should be concessions and stuff like that, that's not really going to happen. And I don't understand why is it a bad thing for Trump to have good relations with its partner, its neighbor, Russia? Because I think from my point of view, from the global south point of view, isn't it a good thing to have superpowers, to have dialogue and talk instead of touching each other's toes? Because the less we touch each other's toes, the more cooperation, peace and harmony and actual economic growth of all respective countries involved would be net positive than actually touching each other's toes.
So we actually have the Cold War. Therefore, that committed crime. They've articulated it. They have reasonable cause to ask me. Why do I have to produce a choice? Because I possibly committed a crime. They just can't randomly go to strangers and go, "You tried to eat." And she made a lot of money from the book too.
And the book wasn't the tone.
I agree with you completely.
Did somebody say Toyra?
Oh God, Toyra. Teach us some Toyra, please.
Wow, a room finally where Palestinians are thankful for the IDF liberating them from the Islamic jihadist terrorists that have destroyed their civilization. Wow, I'm so happy to finally be in the final summary room of this multi-year war. This is fantastic. Bono Shel Olam.
Yeah, we do this up. IDF. Baruch Hashem. Yeah, Baruch Hashem. I'm a chef in the IDF. You're a chef? Yep, and I'm in the IDF. Nice.
B'nai Aliyah. B'nai Aliyah. It's my favorite new word of the day. B'nai Aliyah.
What does it mean?
It's the higher levels of intelligence.
Interesting. Okay. Never heard about it.
Can you speak Arabic, by the way?
It's in the Tanya. El Normo read about it today.
Sorry.
Okay.
Pennywise, did you hear El Normo reading the Tanya today, Pennywise?
No, I did not hear that.
Oh, it was beautiful. El Normo, tell them about the magnificent Torah you read.
I don't know what to say. It was just, it was a perfect selection. You're
I think Matt down there should probably listen to some of the Tanya because he's got a lot of anger issues. I think he's got to deal with.
Guys, should we read about Lamech in Genesis, the first polygamist? And
Congress, do you have like
Saul.
17 iPhones in the PTO on tripod?
You're correctly looking at the PTR. That is the photo that you are viewing. Correct.
Is that how you're
That's
streaming
crazy.
services? Yeah, Congress definitely works on the Mossad.
Does anyone here know what the word Mossad means in English?
Enlighten us.
It means supreme intelligence.
If it means supreme intelligence, I should be working there.
Yeah, it is. What is it?
They should be calling me up.
Well, you're in something called Clown House. This is a circus tent. There's no supreme intelligence here. This is a clown university. Look at Pennywise. She's one of our clown applicants. And look how well she's responding to the circus tent.
She's a Mossad agent, yeah, no kidding.
That's right. And Lebanese.
And Lebanese.
We have the shaitan from one side.
That's right, man. She used to work for Hezbollah and then she got fired.
That photo. I'm not a shoof. Don't mess with the Zohan.
That's not me, Lormy.
Remember the part with Mariah Carey with the bee?
No, I.
What bee? There's no bee.
No, I don't know. It sounds off.
You think they tried to make like a realistic, picture. Are bad people. Well, I think that's common, bro. He's like for like a whole nationality, just I think he's living in like the dream of New York and the United States. Eating bagels on every corner, not like these communities that you don't know you. They just have all this propaganda about us. They hate us from Kitover. Guys, I haven't been happy the past few weeks. I think like it's just made me so like it's affected my emotional health the past few weeks. Just talking to these people. Yeah, it's only drink too. You gotta read the documents. You're constantly in a state of like, oh my god, like let me just think of the right thing to say to like save lives, you know? Yeah, the right thing we're all here doing. And like I advise two names, Lander, an Italian, a Spaniard, would be
Or basically they just ran the clock out, and if the can does get kicked down the hill here, I think it's gonna further strengthen Zelensky's political stature, not weaken it. And with that, Gary, I'll lay it right there. Thank you.
So you tossed in a couple of measures. We talked earlier about the actual seizure of land in which the Russians have been very successful. If you use that as your only metric, and it's an important one, then one would conclude they're winning the war. It's a fait accompli. Cut your losses and lick your wounds and take as much of your territory back as you can, but negotiate something is just easy. But if you look at both the costs and numbers of people dead, that's a metric. And if you look at the cost to the economy, that's a metric. And I hope
recovering in a cool day. Every 30 minutes, like the Trump administration, that he'll not 3% of the reports of Trump administration is going to buy 10%.
The States to give Putin the awesome show force of the United States Air Force. That was cool.
Great piece. Thanks, Gary. I hope that was complete.
Thank you, John. That was probably an accurate assessment, but
Tricks, we need you to help pass around a couple clown house shekels, help the campaign. We're fighting Derek Mahood the Dragon. And if Dr. Adams is supporting it, I think it's a good bet to bet on John, not Dr. Adams. Thank you. I just have an expression that I enjoy, and I think it kind of reframes everything.
easily and with essentially no cost, move one or not.
Well, I'm running as a Republican, and I'm wearing a Trump MAGA hat, so, explain all the contradictions, but I think that most people are more aligned on fiscal conservatism and pragmatic spending, and it's the one thing everybody agrees on, because that's how you live your life. Earth is great. King is great. Thus, the king is one of the great four in the universe. Man follows the ways of the earth. The earth follows the ways of heaven. Heaven follows the ways of Tao. Tao follows its own ways.
I'd rather hear this over a virtual. I'd rather hear this over.
And he's taking it over. And I hope he rolls it out to Chicago.
call.
Alright, so that's for the 10.
Good, I just got back from a bachelor party. My roommate from college is getting married.
I'm sorry. Sober. What?
Yes, I am sober. I got back yesterday afternoon.
Why was he going to get married? You have your shit with somebody else. And it'll be the breaking point for, for the politicians and the diplomats and the Zionists. I mean, if the whole world is going to.
See that? Oh, I loved it. It was great. Man, did you see Boots' reaction? Like, he heard it go.
המ"מ מחזיק אונת"א! עוד 5 קילומטרים! מי שלכם!
Do you want to come see it? I live just around the corner.
Master acts without doing anything and teaches without saying anything. Things arise and she lets them come. Things disappear and she lets them go. She has but doesn't possess. Acts but doesn't expect. When her work is done, she forgets it. That is why it lasts forever. 3. If you overesteem great men, people become powerless. If you overvalue possessions, people begin to steal. The master leads by emptying people's minds and filling their cores, by weakening their ambition and toughening their resolve. He helps people lose everything they know, everything they desire, and creates confusion in those who think that they know. Practice not doing, and everything will fall into place. 4. The Tao is like a well, used but never used up. It is like the eternal void, filled with infinite possibilities. It is hidden but always present. I don't know who gave birth to it. It is older than God. 5. The Tao doesn't take sides. It gives birth to both good and evil. The Master doesn't take sides. She welcomes both saints and sinners. The Tao is like a bellows. It is empty yet infinitely capable. The more you use it, the more it produces. The more you talk of it, the less you understand. Hold on to the center. 6. The Tao is called the Great Mother. Empty, yet inexhaustible. It gives birth to infinite worlds. It is always present within you. You can use it any way you want. 7. The Tao is infinite, eternal. Why is it eternal? It was never born, thus it can never die. Why is it infinite? It has no desires for itself, thus it is present for all beings. The Master stays behind, that is why she is ahead.
detached from all things. That is why she is one with them. Because she has let go of herself.
Scott, how did you think I did on the Gary Baumgarten show? Did I bring information, good info? I thought I did a pretty good job.
She is perfectly fulfilled. 8. The supreme good is like water, which nourishes all things without trying to. It is content with the low places that people disdain.
Hell no.
Thus, it is like the Tao.
Come on, no. Hey, yo, John.
In
Nobody
dwelling,
give a fuck what you
live close to the ground.
Nobody cares, John.
In thinking, keep to the simple. In conflict, be fair and generous. In governing, don't try to control. In work, do what you enjoy. In family life, be completely present. When you are content to be simply yourself and don't compare or compete, everybody will respect you. 9. Fill your bowl to the brim, and it will spill. Keep sharpening your knife, and it will blunt. Chase after money and security, and your heart will never unclench. Care about people's approval, and you will be their prisoner. Do your work, then step back. The only path to serenity. 10. Can you coax your mind from its wandering and keep to the original oneness? Can you let your body become supple as a newborn child's? Can you cleanse your inner vision until you see nothing but the light? Can you love people and lead them without imposing your will? Can you deal with the most vital matters by letting events take their course? Can you step back from your own mind and thus understand all things? Giving birth and nourishing. Having without possessing. Acting with no expectations. Leading and not trying to control. This is the supreme virtue. 11. We join spokes together in a wheel, but it is the center hole that makes the wagon move. We shape clay into a pot, but it is the emptiness inside that holds whatever we want. We hammer wood for a house, but it is the inner space that makes it livable. We work with being, but non-being is what we use. 12. Colors blind the eye. Sounds deafen the ear. Flavors numb the taste. Thoughts weaken the mind. Desires wither the heart. The master observes the world, but trusts his inner vision. He allows things to come and go. His heart is open as the sky. 13. Success is as dangerous as failure. Hope is as hollow as fear. What does it mean that success is as dangerous as failure? Whether you go up the ladder or down it, your position is shaky. When you stand with your 2 feet on the ground, you will always keep your balance. What does it mean that hope is as hollow as fear? Hope and fear are both phantoms that arise from thinking of the self. When we don't see the self as self, what do we have to fear? world as yourself. Have faith in the way things are. Love the world as yourself. Then you can care for all things. 14. Look, and it can't be seen. Listen, and it can't be heard. Reach, and it can't be grasped. Above, it isn't bright. Below, it isn't dark. Seamless, unnameable, it returns to the realm of nothing. Form that includes all forms. Image without an image. Subtle, beyond all conception. Approach it, and there is no beginning. Follow it, and there is no end. You can't know it, but you can be it. At ease in your own life. Just realize where you come from. This is the essence of wisdom. 15. The ancient masters were profound and subtle. Their wisdom was unfathomable. There is no way to describe it. All we can describe is their appearance. They were careful as someone crossing an iced-over stream, alert as a warrior in enemy territory, courteous as a guest, fluid as melting ice, shapeable as a block of wood, receptive as a valley, clear as a glass of water. Do you have the patience to wait till your mud settles and the water is clear? Can you remain unmoving till the right action arises by itself? The master doesn't seek fulfillment. Not seeking, not expecting. She is present and can welcome all things. 16. Empty your mind of all thoughts. Let your heart be at peace. Watch the turmoil of beings, but contemplate their return. Each separate being in the universe returns to the common source. Returning to the source is serenity. If you don't realize the source, you stumble in confusion and sorrow. When you realize where you come from, you naturally become tolerant, disinterested, amused, kind-hearted as a grandmother, dignified as a king. Immersed in the wonder of the Tao, you can deal with whatever life brings you. And when death comes, you are ready. 17. When the master governs, the people are hardly aware that he exists. Next best is a leader who is loved. Next, one who is feared. The worst is one who is despised. If you don't trust the people, you make them untrustworthy. The master doesn't talk, he acts. When his work is done, the people say, "Amazing, we did it, all by ourselves." 18. When the great Tao is forgotten, goodness and piety appear. When the body's intelligence declines, cleverness and knowledge step forth. When there is no peace in the family, filial piety begins. When the country falls into chaos, patriotism is born. 19. Throw away away holiness and wisdom, and people will be 100 times happier. Throw away morality and justice, and people will do the right thing. Throw away industry and profit, and there won't be any thieves. If these three aren't enough, just stay at the center of the circle and let all things take their course. 20. Stop thinking and end your problems. What difference between yes and no? What difference between success and failure? Must you value what others value? Avoid what others avoid? How ridiculous. Other people are excited, as though they were at a parade. I alone don't care. I alone am expressionless, like an infant before it can smile. Other people have what they need. I alone possess nothing. I alone drift about, like someone without a home. I'm like an idiot, my mind is so empty. Other people are bright. I alone am dark. Other people are sharp. I alone am dull. Other people have a purpose. I alone don't know. I drift like a wave on the ocean. I blow as aimless as the wind. I am different from ordinary people. I drink from the great mother's breasts. 21. The master keeps her mind always at one with the Tao. That is what gives her her radiance. The Tao is ungraspable. How can her mind be at one with it? Because she doesn't cling to ideas. The Tao is dark and unfathomable. How can it make her radiant? Because she lets it. Since before time and space were, the Tao is. It is beyond is and is not. How do I know this is true? I look inside myself and see. 22. If you want to become whole, let yourself be partial. If you want to become straight, let yourself be crooked. If you want to become full, let yourself be empty. If you want to be reborn, let yourself die. If you want to be given everything, give everything up. The Master, by residing in the Tao, sets an example for all beings. Because he doesn't display himself, people can see his light. Because he has nothing to prove, people can trust his words. Because he doesn't know who he is, people recognize themselves in him. Because he has no goal in mind, everything he does succeeds. When the ancient masters said, if you want to be given everything, give everything up, they weren't using empty phrases. Only in being lived by the Tao can you be truly yourself. 23. Express yourself completely, then keep quiet. Be like the forces of nature. When it blows, there is only wind. shines through. If you open yourself to the Tao, you are at one with the Tao, and you can embody it completely. If you open yourself to insight, you are at one with insight, and you can use it completely. If you open yourself to loss, you are at one with loss, and you can accept it completely. Open yourself to the Tao, then trust your natural responses, and everything will fall into place. 24. He who stands on tiptoe doesn't stand firm. He who rushes ahead doesn't go far. He who tries to shine dims his own light. He who defines himself can't know who he really is. He who has power over others can't empower himself. He who clings to his work will create nothing that endures. If you want to accord with the Tao, just do your job, then let go. 25. There was something formless and perfect before the universe was born. It is serene, empty, solitary, unchanging, infinite, eternally present. It is the mother of the universe. For lack of a better name, I call it the Tao. It flows through all things, inside and outside, and returns to the origin of all things. The Tao is great. The universe is great. Earth is great. Man is great. These are the four great powers. Man follows the earth. Earth follows the universe. The universe follows the Tao. The Tao follows only itself. 26. The heavy is the root of the light. The unmoved is the source of all movement. Thus the master travels all day without leaving home. However splendid the views, she stays serenely in herself. Why should the lord of the country flit about like a fool? If you let yourself be blown to and fro, you lose touch with your root. If you let restlessness move you, you lose touch with who you are. 27. A good traveler has no fixed plans and is not intent upon arriving. A good artist lets his intuition lead him wherever it wants. A good scientist has freed himself of concepts and keeps his mind open to what is. Thus the master is available to all people and doesn't reject anyone. He's ready to use all situations and doesn't waste anything. This is called embodying the light. What is a good man but a bad man's teacher? What is a bad man but a good man's job? If you don't understand this, you will get lost, however intelligent you are. It is the great secret. 28. Know the male, yet keep to the female. Receive the world in your arms. If you receive the world, the Tao will never leave you, and you will be like a little child. Know the white, yet keep to the black. Be a pattern for the world. If you are a pattern for the world, the Tao will be strong inside you, and there will be nothing you can't do. Know the personal, yet keep to the impersonal. Accept the world as it is. If you accept the world, the Tao will be luminous inside you, and you will return to your primal self. The world is formed from the void, like utensils from a block of wood. The master knows the utensils, yet keeps to the block. Thus she can use all things. 29. Do you want to improve the world? I don't think it can be done. The world is sacred. It can't be improved. If you tamper with it, you'll ruin it. If you treat it like an object, you'll lose it. There's a time for being ahead, a time for being behind, a time for being in motion, a time for being at rest, a time for being vigorous, a time for being exhausted, a time for being safe, a time for being in danger. The master sees things as they are, without trying to control them. She lets them go their own way, and resides at the center of the circle. 30. Whoever relies on the Tao in governing men doesn't try to force issues or defeat enemies by force of arms. For every force, there is a counterforce. Violence, even well-intentioned, always rebounds upon oneself. The master does his job and then stops. He understands that the universe is forever out of control, and that trying to dominate events goes against the current of the Tao. Because he believes in himself, he doesn't try to convince others. Because he is content with himself, he doesn't need others' approval. Because he accepts himself, the whole world accepts him. 31. Weapons are the tools of violence. All decent men detest them. Weapons are the tools of fear. A decent man will avoid them, except in the direst necessity. And if compelled, will use them only with the utmost restraint. Peace is his highest value. If the peace has been shattered, how can he be content? His enemies are not demons, but human beings like himself. He doesn't wish them personal harm, nor does he rejoice in victory. How could he rejoice in victory and delight in the slaughter of men? He enters a battle gravely, with sorrow, and with great compassion, as if he were attending a funeral. 32. The Tao can't be perceived. Smaller than an electron, it contains uncountable galaxies. powerful men and women could remain centered in the Tao, all things would be in harmony. The world would become a paradise.
It's like a projection of it.
All people would be at peace, and the law would be written in their hearts. When you have names and forms, know that they are provisional.
I'm just
When you have institutions,
why do you
know
say
where
that?
their functions should end.
Well, I have
Knowing when to stop,
You've been on here 3 days.
you can avoid
got
it.
into it earlier. I was trying to explain.
Buttercup, none of us here like Mikhail. If he's lying about his identity, we'd be happy to agree with you. But you're just like shooting from the hip. Why do you say this?
So it's interesting because I had an argument with him earlier before I realized he's bullshit about Hamas and whether Hamas, he thinks it's been successful. October 7, violence resistance has been effective and it's really working. And he claims he has immediate family on the ground. And when I asked him about it, when he got here, he claims he got here in 2012. He has a perfect American accent, so that's suspicious. So I asked him about his family. He said, yes, lots of them have died, some of them are starving, and he's talking about how they love suffering for the Palestinian cause. And that is not, I haven't met a single Palestinian on the ground that's suffering and starving that's saying they love suffering for the Palestinian state. That's not what they're thinking about. All they do is curse out the Hamas regime that put them in this situation. And I know you guys want to believe it because it's convenient for your narrative.
No, there's actually people that have called in and came in Amos's room. We're live in Gaza.
Buttercup, you do realize that is just like stereotyping what you're saying. You're saying, I've spoken with Gazans, they don't talk with Mikhail, therefore Mikhail is not from Gaza.
I also have a lot of friends
Not
from
true.
people like that.
Not true, what you're saying.
Yeah, you're stereotyping. You're saying the Gazans have to
But he's
act.
a rare,
Experienced Gazans to act. Mikhail can't be an asshole from Gaza because I've met people from Gaza and they're not assholes like Mikhail.
he didn't even express any heartbreak over his dead fucking family. Like, that's not realistic. I'm sorry.
You are not one to determine what kind of heartbreak anybody expresses over
Buttercup, seriously, another swing.
Who the fuck are you? Seriously, Buttercup, stay the fuck in your lane, shut the fuck up. I'm not in the mood for the bullshit and the gaslighting and the nonsense. I've been off this app for fucking months and I gotta come back to hear Miss fucking holier than thou start dictating who's a Palestinian and who's not because of a fucking accent? Yo habla español y yo parlo italiano también. But I speak perfect fucking English, so is my background not Moroccan and fucking Italian now, according to you? Exactly.
Are you patronizing people that speak English and other languages, Buttercup?
Well, I also know someone else who knows him on this app, and he found out that he's Lebanese, not Palestinian.
Okay, see, that would be evidence. That would be contributing to the conversation rather than playing coy and pretending you're some genius based on accents.
Why is everyone attacking me? It's all unnecessary.
Just accusing me.
Listen,
Why don't you just quit?
I'm fighting a Hamas thing, and you're attacking me.
No, I think the problem is, sorry, makes sense.
Have a fucking conversation. You want to argue something is true and then present no evidence for it? What's wrong?
I also wanted to fight
Listen, Buttercup, hold on 1 second. So the reason why Mixed pointed that out is because every time somebody brings you evidence, you're like, no, it's impossible, they're not from Gaza. No, it's impossible, they're not starving. No, it's impossible, they're not.
No.
I know somebody
I talked to him today and figured out that he's not from Gaza. He made it up.
How do you figure that out?
made that up. Prove that.
I corroborated it in front of us.
Your evidence.
I'm presenting no evidence. You guys don't want to hear facts. So,
Yes,
no.
But Nikki,
accents and locations and years. When you say, I know someone that actually spoke with him and proved that he's actually from Lebanon. Please, present it.
I feel under attack right now. I'm good.
don't feel like
Yes,
you're
you're under
attacked.
attack. Please present your evidence.
Okay, listen, still wait about, I feel under attack.
So stupid.
Put on your visual
You not know how to have a
and
conversation.
start fucking defending your
You're
position.
actually
I'm
I think you're a Palestinian. I think you're actually a nut program. You're not really a human being. Like, where do you get off?
Is that make sense? Okay. Listen, I'll talk to you guys when
No, I can talk to you normally. No, hold on. Buttercup. So, my question is,
All the contributions you can make about a clear anti-Semitic asshole like Mikhail, you can
he's trying to make an excuse to see the actual picture. Like, no, like the excuse right now is, and so if the interesting part, I didn't give you context, so that room is full of Pally supporters and 3 people that claim they're from Palestine, Gaza, and Palestine, okay? So, 3 of them. Exactly. So, against each other, if you listen to it, Edward's going, Jack's going, Wednesday, the pro-Pally didn't say anything. Because she's like, oh, fuck, I'm supporting a cause, but these guys just admitted that everybody's terrorists. And she's sitting back now and probably did the right thing and didn't say a word. And then I'm showing you it, and you're like, nah, doesn't matter what they said. He's not real.
No. The reason I spoke up was not because I'm trying to dispute your account or what he said. It's just simply that I literally today.
Convenient for you if Mikhail is